Hello everyone, this is Lucas Ndośpiał, product manager from Bakotech, which is handling the solution of WinMagic in our company. And I have a pleasure to present you today's webinar with with our pre-sales engineer Mateusz Duda. I took a liberty to wait. We usually do a 5 minute of waiting to the late attendees. So please be patient, and we will start and proceed just about in a few seconds, 30 seconds to start. So please wait. Okay, so hello again. It's Lucas Niedośpiał from Bakotech. I'm a product manager for the WinMagic solution, and I have a pleasure to show you and speak with you and share with you my knowledge about one of our solution. In this concrete example, it will be WinMagic. And with me here, it will be Mateusz Duda, which is a pre-sales, one of our pre-sales engineers who is handling this solution in our company. So to not get too long and to speak about a concrete things, I will proceed to the next slide. So welcome everyone. So I wanted to speak about the problem of coronavirus, and this problem is one of the less well discussed and understood secondary impact, and about the secondary impact of this crisis to the businesses and the increased vulnerability of our businesses to cyber attack and cybercrime in total. With many businesses adopting or at least temporarily accepting a work from home model as a response to COVID-19, cybersecurity experts around the world are raising the alarm on the increased threat of data breaches. With Mateusz, we will show you few tips how to help your company and your customer companies to keep data secure while being corporately responsible. So the first step is employees. Who has access, who should not, and what's the right move? Organizations need to have a tight grip on employees' rights management so that your sensitive data does not depart with your employee or be open access to anyone, not from your company. You have to be sure that those sensitive data are secure. You have to check that authorized individuals in the organization can assign access rights and credentials quickly and be able to delete them just as quick. So the first tip for the home offices employees is to check those credentials, those access which you have or you don't have. The second step is you have to apply least privileges to identify access management. What does it mean? Our organizations should be constantly assessing rights management. As a role changes, so should access rights. So everything changes. This is This is specifically important for the project-based roles, where access to sensitive data may be needed, for example, for a migration or a business operation exercise, like enabling a distributed workforce. Your end goal is to minimize the access and minimize the access any individual has to data or systems that contain critical data. What does it mean? Minimize the access. You equals minimize the risk of corrupting your data. The third the third point, the third tip, which is also important for you, it's inventory of everything. For a variety of reasons, IT leaders are providing their desk-bound employees with more choice than before when it comes to their devices, to be honest. This has many favorable outcomes. Not only the bad things are coming from not homogeneous infrastructure. So it's, for example, one of the good things that comes from our different equipment is that, especially during the Corona crisis, it's we spent less capital for our enterprise to and we can move those money which we could spend on our equipment to another departments which are in bigger need of cash flow. The second thing, our employees who work on devices with which they are more comfortable are more productive running and another thing is running a wider array of devices and operating systems can be helped to reduce exposure to crippling software related bugs or operating systems version specific malwares. So you see, not only bad things comes from our variety of equipment, but it does have also some of drawbacks. As a continuous cycle of new and old devices uh, are in our company, that means that you need to increase your effort to protect all types of devices and keep them all in check and make sure that they are wiped when no longer they are in use. So that could be an obstacle for your IT departments. So, how to handle those things? The only way to, as the slide says, the only thing that truly protects your data is to encrypt this data. It's there is no other and better solution to keep your data safe. As when I took over WinMagic here in Bakotech, I didn't. I knew what the encrypting was, and I knew that this is the right thing to do with your data to encrypt them. But I never did it in my personal life. Not now. Now I know that the security of data and the basics of this security is to encrypt it. So another step, another tip for you to make your infrastructure safe during the home office era. This steps is to encrypt all of your devices, laptops and desktops, for example, because we're all human and humans forget things. Unfortunately, laptops are commonly lost or being stolen, and as they are left unattended in cars or on the cafe tables or in the meeting spaces. As these devices shift from the office environment to homes, you have to be certain that they are encrypted. If they go missing and the data will be unreadable if anyone will access them. You're not in trouble. So you always have to be your data always have to be encrypted. Better yet, increase security controls with the services such as multi-factor authentication or, for example, pre-boot network authentication to make sure no user can ever even gain an access to the device without proper credentials. That is a very important thing. The next thing is to protect your files and folders. Employees are constantly sharing those files and folders, whether or not they are on our home or in the office. So users should be encouraged to encrypt individual files and folders that they wish to protect. This serves an additional layer of security on top of full disk encryption. And if those files are not in the cloud, make sure that they are encrypted and that only your company has an access to the encryption keys. I'm not familiar with, not so much familiar with CE market, but I can tell you the example of not doing that kind of protection for file and folders, which happened here in Poland during the Corona crisis. One of our major school, which is handling the judges and the prosecutors and teaching them to how to proceed in their work, were doing the migration of their system, and they used the outsourcing company for this migration. And one of the employees who done this migration found on one of the devices which he had to migrate the not secured file, and in this file he found the addresses, the private addresses of places where the judges and the prosecutor lives, with the phone numbers, email addresses, and all that data was shared to the public cloud. So imagine what a colossal threat it is, because if those data was achieved by some mafia organization or even post-polit, even common criminal, your judicial structure is compromised because of the pressure that could be put on those people who should be uncompromised and always just. So you have to remember that if you add additional layer of encryption, you only help your company. The next step and next tip is to lock down your removable media devices. As your employees shift to the home office, they may be tempted to take along data or share it using insecure USB sticks, or I don't know if anyone uses DVDs or some kind of other devices. Make sure to encrypt all of them and its content, of course, automatically for the best way is to encrypt them automatically through disk access control policies, of course, in the places where it's possible, not securing those data. And for example, you can take not if you will take not secure and not encrypted USB sticks outside of your safe environment of office and lost it, you are in deep trouble, and you can be facing some kind of penalties, not only from your company but also from the other structures, from the other people, from the other companies, depending what data you've lost. Search in the shadows. What does it mean? Your cloud adoption may be enterprise-driven or employee-realized. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Through the shadow IT applications such as consumer instances of Dropbox or Google Drive or other file sharing applications. 96% have already moved at least one of application or a portion of their infrastructure to the cloud, willingly or not. It's a clear illustration of where IT is shifting. And in many ways, this shadow IT is helping to make business more competitive and employees more productive, especially in work from home environment. However, while IT is no longer responsible for the physical infrastructure or even managing the application, it is still responsible for ensuring security and compliance for the corporate data employees upload to the cloud services. So if your data are not encrypted and safe, you will handle the consequences. You, the IT guys. And with that, problems with all of that seven major and key things, WinMagic can help us. How they can help us? Our solution, which is called SecureDoc, provides us with the possibility of encrypting multiple applications. It is multiple. This solution can be implemented of different operating systems like Windows, like Linux, like Macintosh, and different platforms, endpoints, data centers, and cloud also. So as you see, with one solution, and in this case, SecureDoc Enterprise Servers is this solution. With one console and one key management, you can cover all of those seven safety points that you should provide to your coworker, your employees. And here I can present you why WinMagic is one of the best choices for the encryption. WinMagic started its existence in 1997, and it's, as you can count, 23 years ago. And I'm not so old, but I remember those days, and I know that it was simply the beginning for the IT. The internet connection was very low. We used outdated equipment. In those days, even the CD-ROMs were new technology. So you can just imagine how the company could be experienced when it's only handling one thing, and this thing is encryption. So since 1997, WinMagic developed this solution, and in 2002 they met their first true milestone. They received first ever NIST certification for AAS, which is automating encryption system. Nowadays it's the highest of the used ones, the AAS 256. The next milestone was 2006, which provided us with the FIPS 142 validation level 1 and 2, which gives us the possibility of full disk encryption. And it was the first solution which actually done the first full disk encryption in whole of the market. So as you can see, that's the major step for them. The next one, and also as big as the previous one, was the PBCom X. We introduced the first FDE, full disk encryption solution, to the offering of pre-boot networking and pre-boot authentication. So your devices could be logged in before the system starts up. So you see how secure you are. And 2013, as we co-work with Windows and other companies, we received authentication for native crypto. Native crypto means only that we can handle and manage native cryptographic, native encryption systems, like, for example, BitLocker or Firewatch 2. 2016, we are entering the cloud area and we can secure our data in the cloud. And 2018, the most recent milestone and as important as before, we are the only one solution which can handle the encryption of Linux server. So that can show you how good we are with the encryption. We also have three product lines. The major one, the major one which is covering all of those 7 points I mentioned before, is the first label here, the Secure Job Enterprise. It goes with all of our inventions and milestones, and if you are taking care of your systems, you surely pick this one. But if you just to choose to encrypt your systems with, for example, BitLocker, it's not a problem. You can manage BitLocker for Windows with SecureDoc Essential, which is the second line, the middle one product in our portfolio. And least but not last is SecureDoc Standalone, just for the home users. So you can be secure even if you're not corporate user. As WinMagic is not the logo of WinMagic is not maybe recognizable on the market. It's because of our agreements with the end customers. We simply do not provide the information who is encrypting with our solution. Why? Because we are so good that we cannot share the information. You can imagine who is in the most need of the secure data. We are there. It's a military, it's a government, it's a secret services all around the world, and we cannot tell you which one we are partnering. We are covering, so not to compromise their data, but we can share with you our technological partners. And as most of those here on this slide you can probably recognize and use, you probably don't know that you use all of them sometimes, and some of the layers of the equipment are just simply encrypted with our solution. For example, NCR, the one in the middle, is the producer of the ATM machines, and all of the inside in the bowels of this machine is encrypted by WinMagic and his SecureDoc. Here also I can present you with a few of security criteria we are meeting. The most important for Europe is ISO, NIST, and GDPR compliant. But as we are the solution which is covering full disk encryption, we always showing that we have met fixed validation 140, which is crucial thing for the full disk encryption. Also, you can see one of the famous Secret Service Agency, National Security Agency from the United States of America, and we are meeting the high level criteria of security. So you can imagine how safe WinMagic is. And here is some of the summary. We are 20 years, or more than 20 years, 23 years on the market. We are in various of branches. We do security for the governments, military, industries, and we integrate with many of the vendors. Also, we are still moving our product forward, and we are still developing it. So probably at the end of the year, we have some few new things that will shock the market and shock the encryption and encryption software around the world. And also, if you want to read some research and opinions about our solution, we invite you to the Gartner per Insights for some of the opinion about our solution. That's all from my side, and I want Mateusz to take his part now and show you the possibilities of our solution in real life. Mateusz, mic is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Vikesh. Okay. So you should be able now to see my screen. Okay, so there's a console of the WinMagic. I would say this is the classic console that we are on right now on. There's also a web console, to which I will move forward quite later. Mm, First, let's start to talk about some of the, I would say, technical requirements to set up the server. So we need basically a Windows server, as I'm on right now. We need a database. It must be a Microsoft SQL. The database itself is encrypted. So the WinMagic, after the first startup, it tells us to choose a database in which it will store its data. So the users, encrypting keys, the user keys, groups, all the stuff that you can see exactly in here in console. Um, and we're creating something called the master key of the database. So after, for example, losing that key, it will be impossible to decrypt the database again, for example, to make a copy of it or to troubleshoot some stuff inside it. So it's better to just keep that key in various places. Just copy it and keep it on various places. Mm, The system may be connected with some directory services. I've got it connected with the Active Directory here in my console. Also, I've got the local users created, so it may operate in, I would say, hybrid mode. So my administrator or my guest are the built-in local users for the solution, and I've got also some Active Directory users or Active Directory groups synchronized here in console. So you can see here are some default Active Directory groups. Each user can be placed in any group. There are 2 or 3 default groups, as I remember. So all device, all users, and all keys, as I remember, or something like that. So anything I would create here in the first 3 tabs, it goes automatically to the, for example, users goes to the all user group. The system is based on the keys, as I said. So the keys gives us an access to a specific device, a specific folder, for example, and etc. Each user by default do have access to the device they were working on during the installation of the secure dock. So for example, on this device, which was created here on the 4th of the September, we can see some troubleshoot data here, so IP address, communicating up to date, etc. I can see the users that do have access to this device. So my test PC user was a deploying user. So it means that he was actively working on the device when the agent was installed. The SDC admin is not an owner, but it do have an access to this device because this is just a service account for an admin, so he can troubleshoot some things. He can log to this device, for example, to install some software, etc., etc. So I would just give him this access to this device. Mm, Also, to see or to troubleshoot the specific device, we can just double click on its and those informations that are here in the table will be popped up in the specific window, so it's way much easier to see all the informations. Also, I do have something like folder encryption policies. As Łukasz said, that the secure doc allows us to create a specific policies for specific folders. For example, I can create a specific folder encryption policy in the UNC format. So corporate server exchange corporate. It may be corporate server public, for example. If I would create this policy for a public folder, it will allow me then to attach this policy, for example, to a specific group of people. As it is public folder, I can just attach it to all user group. So in all user group, in the folder encryption policies, I can just attach that policy. This is quite an enchanting of the security of the system because we will not allow anyone from beyond our organization, so any guest here or any attacker, to directly see what's inside the public folder. But each guy with an agent just installed on his PC, so everyone that is in our company, that's working in our company, will do have access to that folder. So even if this is the public folder, it will be still encrypted, so non-attacker can access it, even by using some vulnerabilities, for example, on I don't know, so some NAS solutions or something like that. Mm, Also, one thing that allows me to configure my device is actually a profile. So from the device, after I will or just pop it, I can see a secure doc profile. It is called Windows 10 encryption. Okay, so the profiles for the management of the profiles, I do have a separate tab. In this profiles, I've got this Windows 10 encryption, and I can change some parameters here. For example, from the disk access control, I can set up some restrictions mm, to manage my remote devices or to set up some default rights for the devices. For example, read only unless encrypted. So if someone's bringing his own device, so he's bringing his own for USB stick, it will be used as, for example, read only unless it is encrypted. So unless the device will be encrypted by SecureDoc, the encryption will not be fully completed. We can just copy the data from the pen drive to our PC. So he will not just drag out some informations beyond the company without our attention. Mm, of course, the system has got also a logging system, um, so we can audit my loggings. As you can see, the sysadmin was logging to the SD web console, that I was logging here in the local console. Also, I've got separate logs for the remote devices. Actually, I do not have any logs here because there are only virtual machines, so I'm not able to plug in any pen drive to it actually. But I could see as specific logs, like for example, copying the files that someone has plugged in an encrypted device, that he copied some data from one device to another. I can see also the file paths or the names of the files that he actually transferred. So I know what exactly he has dragged out of the company. The second part, so the web access panel, is actually made in more modern, I would say, form. So it's an HTTP portal. It's a SaaS admin. Okay, let's log into it. Okay, as you can see, it's more modern form. I would say the specifics or the mechanisms that we can use from this console and from the classic console are almost exactly the same. The web portal is more rapport friendly, I would say. So we've got some dashboards, so we can see how many requests we received, how many was successful and declined. So we can, for example, troubleshoot why someone was declined here. We can see when the people were declined. Maybe there are some problems with the our connection, our server, especially if someone is working on the home office. We do have also a quite amount of reports that we can see from the dedicated tab. For example, devices by encryption status, so everything is encrypted in here, by operating system, or by secure doc version. If someone would not have the latest version, then we can just check who do not have it. After clicking this, there's one device, so after clicking the part that calls me about the specific version, I can see that SecureDec version 0852 is using by this and this computer. So in the table form, I would be notified who's using the old version, and I can then check why it was not installed, or I can install it manually after having that knowledge, basically. So there are a lot of reports, I would say. So device list by encryption status, by version, by profile, by package, purge devices. So we can purge the devices. So completely removing the access to this device by deleting all the key locks and all the keys from this device. So no one can basically access it, because he will have to decrypt it by brute force method. So it will be not usable again. We can use it, for example, in case of when the device was stolen, our worker do not want to give the laptop back to us, or he does not want to come to the office. Or for example, in some other cases, like we're stop using the laptop from the Series X. We're just moving to the newer devices. The older one we want to sell, for example, we just can encrypt it, then delete the keys, so no one will access the data that was actually on this device before the purge. So we are safe in this situation. Okay, I would say that's everything from my side, because yeah, it's hard to say about encryption. The console preview A, because the encryption is like a bar that moves, and it shows us that the X sectors out of 8 so was encrypted. So I will pass the voice back to Łukasz, and he will just have one more slide at the end.
Thank you, Mateusz. Your input is as always very, 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 very nice and welcome. So one last slide, as usual. It's traditional to wait for the attendees' questions, and we will gladly answer any of them. So please ask any of your concerns and ask this question in the chat session section here on any meeting. We are waiting for you, and we will gladly answer it. Okay. I see that all of the partners and all of the customers things in the same categories. Mateusz, as you see, we have a question. So why should I? We have a question. Why should I use a secure doc of WinMagic secure doc and not the free of charge BitLocker? So I will try to answer as best as I can, and I will please help me, Mateusz, with these answers. So correct me if I'm wrong. So the when you use BitLocker, you don't have all of the management that could be possible, and especially could be useful during the pandemic situation and the home office stage of working. The second thing is that if you use, for example, our secure doc management for BitLocker, you can secure the recovery key for the BitLocker in the console of the secure doc. That's for this one thing. The second thing is that you have centralized key and policy management. The third thing that is also important that you have BitLocker tamper protection, so no one can tamper with your keys. What do you have? What kind of leverages? Using the console, you have remote device management. So, and the most important, you have Active Directory user integration. I probably missed some points, but maybe you will help me, Mateusz.
Yeah, I guess you have mentioned everything that I was also thinking of. So, uh, yeah, basically because there are there are many solutions that says that we are do integrate with the BitLocker. Yeah, we are providing the BitLocker support. But the one thing they are actually doing is just collecting the recovery keys. Okay, it's fine because we do have the recovery key, so you can then just plug out the disk from the device. You can just decrypt it by using some USB bridges or something like that. But with the help of with help of the WinMagic, you can basically attach the another key file to the device. You can change the password remotely. You can allow your other user to just log in, for example, the service account, so he can log in onto the problematic device to just help the user if it was, for example, a local user, etc., etc. So there are many ways you can use WinMagic in case of the um, BitLocker.
Okay, thank you, Mateusz. Is there any other questions? Don't be shy, please ask. We will try to answer as best as we can. Okay, if you don't have any questions, or if you will think about any of them during after our webinar, please address me directly. You can see my email on this last slide, and also my mobile number. I will gladly help you with your problems. And thank you for the participation on our not usual but webinar. Good webinar, I think, about the security of your data set. So I invite you to contact me or our sales representative for CE region. Thank you once again, and have a nice day.